Dun da da dun da da dun 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 dun. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Lair. This is your honorary Yu-Gi-Oh stepdad telling you that we drew ass. It's time to set one and pass. We're opening up Rise of the Duelist today. We're looking for our Shaddoll Schism. I was finally able to get my hands on a box of First Ed Rise of the Duelist. So happy to have this. We need a Shaddoll Schism. Even Dogmatica Punishment would be great. There's a lot of really great cards in here. Ice Dragon's Prison, stuff like that. So we'll be opening up 8 packs of Rise of the Duelist, and the last 2 packs we have of Secret Slayers. So let's get into it. Alright, we got our 8 packs here. And we got our 2 Secret Slayers. So let's get on into it. Starting off, we'll pull the first pack of Rise of the Duelist. Likes in the chat for some luck here. First pack. Let's see what we pull. We got a Dogmatica Nation, a Thunder Hand, Dogmatica Nexus, Dice, Infernoble Knight, oh yeah, Melfi Rabby, Scarecrow, Pfeiffer Jar, and Eldlich Necrolord. Second pack, we'll be opening up the Secret Slayers. We still need the Golden Boy. Next week, we'll be opening up some more Secret Slayers if we don't pull it today. I'm really hoping we do. So we got a Camellius, Pyramid of Wonders, a Resonance, Sunflowers, and Eureka Flurries. Second pack of Rise of the Duelist. Like, if we even get a punishment, we can use that. So, you know, hopefully we can pull a common. We got a Nergal, Melfi Mommy, Dogmatica Nation again, Thunderhand, and a Revolution Falcon Air Raid. We got a Red Potato Man. Oh, this artwork just cracks me up. We got a Card Guardian. Nothing else. Second pack of Secret Slayers here. See what we get. We got a Golden Land Forever, the Counter Trap. Amazing. Emancipator Resonance, Quackamaroo Wall, Rika Queen, and an Emancipator Seeker. Alright, looks like we're going to have to wait till next week to hopefully pull the Golden Boy. Moving on back to Rise of the Duelist. We got a bunch of packs left here. I really hope we pull good. We got a Capricious Dark Lord off the top of this third pack here. A Linker Bell, our first generic Link 2. So this requires 2 monsters, but you cannot link this card unless you have at least 3 cards in your exchequer more than your opponent. Wow. Well, yeah, we'll think about that. The card's actually kind of terrible, but, you know, it's a generic link. Could come up, maybe. We'll hold it to the side. We got a Magius, Melfi Fenny, and a Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. For the rest of the commons, we got a Diameter, Dragon Circle, Roland, and a Dogmatica Theo. We could think about that. On to the rest of Rise of the Duelist here. We just need one good card. Come on. We got a Nexus, a Diced Dice, another Capricious Dark Lord, another Linker Bell, and Performer Pal Odd Eyes Metal Claw. For the rest of the commons, we got a Ponymint, and our first Dogmatica Punishment, as well as a second Theo. The Punishment will actually probably make it into the deck. I think that this card, in tandem with the Shaddoll portion of our deck, is actually pretty good because we can send our Apcalone, search a card, and then dump it. So this kind of turns this card into some ubiquity, which we really do need. So that'll probably make it into the deck. Let's move on to the rest of Rise of the Duelist here. Hopefully we can pull something good, maybe a good Ultra. We got a Dolphin off the top, DD Arc, Galloping Gaia, Fry for Repair, and a Blizzard. Interesting. This could maybe make it into our side deck for spell cards. especially some spell-heavy decks. This is like a good counter to them, so I'll go into the side here. Melfi Hide and Seek, Horn of Oliphant, Guardian, and a Res Avenger. All right, we got 3 packs of Rise of the Duelists left here. Let's hope we pull something good. Off the top, we got a Magius, Melfi Fenny again, another Dolphin, DD Arc, and a Shaddoll Schism. Yo, those likes in the chat. Thanks for the follows. We did it, boys. We pulled the exact card we needed. Oh my god, I'm so excited. This honestly increases the power of our deck just absolutely tenfold. This makes our deck so much stronger. Holy shit. I'm blown away. We really did pull it. That is going straight into our deck. Let's get our pulls over here. They're looking okay. Let's just finish this off. We got 2 more packs. The rest of these commons, we got basically nothing. Second to last pack here. Whew, off the wings of the Shaddoll Schism. I'm feeling good. We got a Twinkle Little Star, Cursed Dragon, Dark Lord Uprising, Nexus, and Revenge Rally. Interesting. This card's sent to the graveyard because the equip left the field. Draw a card. Or if you activate this card during the turn, draw 2, then discard 1 instead. Interesting. Could maybe put that in. That's a cool card. We also got a Junk Sleep. If your opponent normal or specials a monster, change all face down defense to face up attack. During this end phase, change all. Interesting. That could maybe go in. Oh my god, and we got the second punishment. Wow, what a great opening here. We got 2 punishment and the Schism. Our deck is just increasing in power as we go. So excited for this opening. This is pretty great so far. We got 1 pack left. Let me just straighten out this crap, and we'll get right into the last pack here. Oh man, we pulled the Schism, boys. I'm feeling good. We got a Galloping Gaia, Repair, Twinkle Little Star, Cursed Dragon, and the first Dark Lord as our last super of the opening. Ending off, we got a Spiral Fusion, Vespinato, Harcudia, and Res Avenger. This is kind of nice, generic XYZ. Could come up later in the duels. We'll think about that, but holy shit, we did it. We got 2 punishment and the Schism, boys. What a great opening for us. We also got the Golden Land, so if we pull our Big Daddy next episode, we'll have a pretty good deck. This is looking good. Let's get into the deck list now, and I'll have some duels for you after. Alright, so I'm gonna do an IRL deck profile for you guys. We haven't done one in a couple episodes, so figured that'd be kind of cool. So let's hop right into the extra deck first. Most of it has not changed in the past couple episodes. Hopefully that will change eventually, but we still have the 3 Winda, 2 App Cologne, 2 Construct, the 2 Shekinaga, Anotilius, Grista, Wendigo, our Starving Venom, Bad Boy, coming in clutch, and of course the 2 Construct. We probably only need 1 of these, so if we ever pull other extra deck monsters, definitely 1 of these can come out. But what's super important in our extra deck now is the App Cologne, which we can send off our freshly pulled Dogmatica Punishment. So that's pretty nice. Extra deck. Let's hop into the main deck now, and we'll go through. And so first off, I've reduced the deck down to 40 cards. I think that trying to get into our main plays is very important for us now because we are at a disadvantage. We are running a little bit of an underwhelming deck, so to speak. So our layer package now is just these 6 cards, just Lair of Darkness and our Goth Girlfriend, the Lament Lady herself. So this is pretty good. Just drawing these 2 cards on itself, in of itself, is an interruption. So that's pretty nice. If we draw both of these, we can just activate Lair, normal summon the Lilith, keep it on field to tribute our opponent's monsters for cost. So that's pretty nice, which also gains us advantage. But, you know, I think that for the most part, Lair of Darkness is there just for our side-decked Eradicators, as well as just being able to tribute the opponent's monsters for cost. So, you know, Lair will probably stay in our deck for as long as possible, but I do see a world where maybe we end up taking Lair out completely. Lilith is kind of our main play card in terms of our normal summons. Speaking of normal summons, we are now on 2 Math Man. I don't think 3 is super necessary. Like I said, we want to keep it to 40. Also, just his normal summon effect is pretty good, so he's worth keeping in the deck because we can send our Wendy's and our Squamatas now. They are both still at 2. I think that is all that is necessary in order to resolve these effects. You know, we're trying to turbo into window more than anything. I'm now on 2 Hedgehog, mainly because of the flip effect. We can now add our Shaddoll spell and traps. Very, very important because we want to add our freshly pulled Schism to our hand. I'm now on the 1 Beast. I'm hoping I won't regret this, but we'll find out this episode once I do some duels, if this is going to bite us or not. The draw power has been pretty nice, so, you know, we'll find out, but I feel like we only really need to resolve one of these in order to gain the advantage that we need to win. 1 Dragon for the back row, 1 Aerial for the triple DD Crow effect, and the 1 Kios as our light target for Shaddoll Fusion. So that is our Shaddoll lineup as it stands for this episode. So let me move aside these main package cards and we'll get into the spells. Of course, triple insta win poly. You can't respond to this card. This card's awesome. So happy this didn't get hit on the ban list. We are under the new master rule, or the new ban list, so you know, this had the potential to maybe have gotten hit. I'm not really so sure how realistic that was, if it was going to or not, but it did not, so we're still on the 3. I'm now on the 2 Shaddoll Fusion. I reread this card, yeah, so it's very, very good, so I think it's worth running too, because we're not always guaranteed to go first, and just being able to, you know, send from the deck to fusion summon is very, very important for us, especially if we are trying to get into our, you know, construct plays, which we can also send the Squamata to set now our Shaddoll Hedgehog, and then using the construct we can send our Rush Shaddoll, flip up the Hedgehog, and grab our Shaddoll Ruq. So that can kind of get us set up as long as, you know, our opponent has an extra deck monster. You know, searching a trap card to be able to activate it on the opponent's turn is, you know, whatever. We'll think about it, but it is still very good in terms of viability. We're also on the 1 El Shaddoll Fusion just for that quick play. The variants, we're on the 6 fusion spells, also on the Foolish Burial, and that is it for the spell cards. Now onto the trap lineup. We're on 15 traps. We have the 3 Sinister Shadow Games, our Incarnation, and our very beautiful Schism. So happy to have pulled this. This is going to make our deck so powerful. I'm really excited to show it off this week in the episode's duels today, because this card is just ridiculously powerful. Can send a monster on the opponent's side of the field to the graveyard, which is like absolutely busted, but can also allow us to kind of spam. Is our Necrofusion in its own right. Not as searchable, but still pretty searchable. But I think what makes this so good is that we can send the App Cologne off of our freshly pulled Dogmatica Punishment. So, you know, we set this up, and that way on the following turn that we've already set the Schism, we can then go into the window. So we won't be able to do it on our turn. However, if we've already set up our Shaddoll Beast effect to flip and draw 2, discard 1, we can gain more advantage, and then on our opponent's turn, we probably have a bunch of set cards as well as our Shaddoll Schism, allowing for plenty of interruption as well as the window lock, which is the goal of the deck. We're also still on the the 2 Lost Wind. This card's just so great. Protects our window, can recur itself. I really like this at 2 because we can kind of get it out of the deck with our Goth Girlfriend. Still on the 2 Necrofusion as well, for the same exact reason kind of as Lost Wind, is that this allows us to just kind of spam Winda and protect Winda by making another Winda. So that is how you win the game. Also on the 2 Trap Trick and the 2 Solemn Judgment. I really like this trap lineup. I think that putting Solemn Judgment to 2 was the right move for us to keep it at 40. However, you know, we're going to be going over 40 later on in the series as we hopefully finally pull the Golden Lord. So let's move on into the side deck. Not a lot has changed in this, but, you know, we'll go over it quickly. 3 Lava Golem, the extra Aerial and the extra Dragon for back row and graveyard reliant decks respectively. We're also on the 3 Twin Twister and 2 Galaxy Cyclone, the maybe better MST, not a quick play unfortunately, but you know, for back row decks we're really going to need this, especially with the format change. There's going to be a lot of back row decks like ours. On the 1 Blizzard that we pulled as well for the side, I think that this card's actually kind of underrated. Can help us out in terms of going first because we won't get Lightning Stormed or Harpy's Feather Dustered, which is the bane of my existence. We're also on the 3rd Solemn Judgment for going first just to side in, as well as the 3 Eradicator. So that is going to be it for the deck profile for you guys. Let's hop into some games and we'll see how we do with this list. I hope you guys enjoy. Our first match of the day is going to be up against Teller Knights, and we'll start with a Lilith as it is our only play. Our hand is bricked with a few Shaddolls, however we do have a trap trick at our disposal. They'll start off with a Vega into a Deneb, which we will Lost Wind to prevent them from continuing. They'll finally go into a Batalamus, or whatever it's called. We'll get this Lost Wind back, trap trick into a Punishment, and send it to the graveyard right away. They can't, you know, XYZ stack up into a Triver. We top deck a Shadow Games for turn, so we'll set this Hedgehog, hoping that we can actually get into our Shaddoll spell and traps. They'll start off their turn by dumping this Altair. We'll flip up this Hedgehog and then send the Aerial to banish the 3 in their graveyard. They'll just run over this Hedgehog. However, we now have a Shaddoll Fusion in hand. We draw into a window. This is great. However, they're going to counter trap our Shaddoll Fusion. So we'll just set this Windy, pass it back to them. Hopefully this floating effect will actually let us survive. So they'll bring back this whatever it's called, and go into another Batalamus. We'll Lost Wind this one. However, the Lost One will now be banished. And when they go into our Windy, haha, you fell into our trap. We can now set this Beast. And on our turn, we are going to start off by flipping that Beast face up after we normal summon this Mathematician, sending this Kios, and we'll pop this back row. It is a Dragon Lords, however, so when it leaves the field, the monster is also destroyed. Flipping the Beast to draw 2, discard 1. They will call the Haunted back this Altair, and we will draw 2, discard this Windy to special from deck. They're going to bring back this Deneb, and we will set the Squamata off the Windy. They'll activate the Deneb, grabbing them another Altair from deck, and with our pumped up Shaddoll monsters, we can run over some of their field and pass back to them. They top deck a Pot of Desires. Amazing top deck. However, haha, they draw into another Desires. They'll use this Altair to get a Deneb, add another Teller Knight from deck to hand, go into another Batalamus, finally into a Triver, bouncing the field and ripping this Hedgehog from our hand, which does indeed float, and we will get a Squamata from deck. We're running very low on Shaddoll monsters now, so let's see what we do. We'll top deck a Foolish Burial, absolutely useless to us. We'll normal summon this Mathman, filter our deck, and the writing is pretty much on the wall. Let's see what they're able to do. They'll start off with a Rhoda, grabbing them a Sirius, using the Sirius to shuffle 5 back and draw 1. From there, they will activate a Pot of Desires. They have ripped a Cosmic off the top. They'll rip this Squamata out of our hand, and we will send the trap card to the graveyard. Top decking a Super Poly for turn. They'll lay into a 1 material Zeus. Good for them. We'll activate the Slayer of Darkness, eat a Cyclone for it. We're just trying to bait out cards. Activate the Shaddoll Fusion. It gets alpha'd. We will then use this Incarnation to flip our Squamata, popping their board, and then we'll set this Super Poly as it is our only form of interruption to hopefully win this game. It gets Cosmic, so we surrender. Game 2 up against Teller Knight. They start off with a reinforcement of the army into a Vega. We have opted to let them go first as I am not too threatened by the turn 1 board of the Teller Knights, and as you can tell, we have quite a few board-breaking cards in our hand. We'll start off this turn by using the Twin Twisters, popping their back row. They are both Dragon Souls, which will, however, not successfully allow their monsters to be summoned, allowing them to plus, so they will just get destroyed. Using the Shaddoll Fusion, we'll go into an Apkalon Windy, and sending the Windy and Squamata. We'll activate both in sequence as well as negating their monster on the field, setting this beast and sending the Shaddoll. We'll use it to banish the Windy and flip up this beast to draw 2, discard 1. We'll then super poly away their board into a construct. Using the construct and the Apkalon, their Deltaros will float into an Altair. We'll add back this Schism and just discard it, and then send the Aerial to banish 3 from their graveyard. They'll revive the Deltaros, which can indeed float. They will do this, summoning a Vega, using the Vega to summon the Deneb from hand, and using that to search an Altair again. We'll go into a construct, use the construct effect to go into another construct, and we'll send this Hedgehog to get us a Squamata, also adding back this Schism, which we can now activate on their turn. On their turn, they start off with an Altair. Using its special effect, we'll chain the Ruq. This will allow us to essentially lock them out of special summoning once it resolves. They'll just pass it back to us. We top deck a Judgment for turn. We'll activate the Schism to summon a second Winda. Crash over this Deltaros. They'll use the Sirius from deck, and we'll just crash over some of their monsters, trying to clear their board. That way they can't get into an XYZ. We'll set this Judgment. We now have 2 Solemn Judgments set. They'll use this Call of the Haunted. We'll just Solemn Judgment it right away. Not entirely sure why they didn't just start off with that Cosmic Cyclone. We'll go into a third Winda. We're on triple Winda now. And as we go into battle phase, they see the writing on the wall. Third game up against Tellarknights. We are now 1-1 against them. They will start off their turn with a Vega into a Deneb. Deneb to add another Tellarknight from deck. Going into the Batalamus, they will go into a Triver. Using the Triver, they'll bounce everything and then use its effect to rip the punishment from our hand. Setting 2, passing it back to us. We're starting out with 5 cards here. We'll start off with a Foolish Burial, sending the Squamata. They'll chain their Call of the Haunted to bring back this Vega. We'll send the Windy. The Vega will then chain in sequence, getting them an Altair. We'll set this beast off of the Winda, and they will summon the Deneb with the Altair, adding them a second Altair. We'll go into the Shaddoll Fusion into our Winda, using the Dragon to pop the last back row and a Hedgehog to add another Shaddoll from deck. We'll then tribute over their monsters with our board-breaking Lava Golem, crash over at least one of their monsters. However, they still have access to a rank 4 engine, so we will try to mitigate this by getting out a second Winda with our Necro Fusion. We know we're in a bad spot here. They'll go for a Rhoda, and then into a Dark Rebellion. This is a very old school deck. They'll crash over our window. We'll use it to grab back the Shaddoll Fusion, and then finally they'll crash over the other window, allowing them to now special summon freely. They'll use the Vega into the Altair, into the Deneb. Wow, I'm getting 2014 flashbacks here. They'll go finally into a Deltaros and pop our Lava Golem. Very curious here. Go into a 1-mat Zeus again. Very interesting that they opted not to give it more materials. They'll negate this beast, and we'll finally be able to activate the Shaddoll Fusion using the Apkalon to negate their Constellar Diamond, and we will set this Hedgehog off of a Windy. We now have a Schism and a set Hedgehog. We'll chain the Ruq in the battle phase just to show them what we got. They'll crash over the Apkalon. It can't be destroyed by battle, so in main phase 2, we'll go for a window with our Schism. We top deck a Trap Trick. Flipping this Hedgehog will allow us to add a spell or trap. They'll attempt to negate, just probably trying to get a name into graveyard here. We'll add the Shaddoll, use the Ruq, and negate this Zeus. However, we don't have anything to run over their monsters, so in the draw phase, we will chain both the Trap Trick and this Shaddoll, bringing back the other Winda and setting this Lost Wind. That way, in battle phase, when they go to crash over one of them, we can use a Lost Wind to destroy one of their monsters, and then when the Winda finally is able to get run over by the Zeus, add back this Shaddoll Fusion. This is looking okay. Let's see how we can get out of this one. We'll activate the Shaddoll Fusion, summoning the Construct, and using the Aerial to banish 3 from their graveyard. We will switch all of our monsters into attack position, run over their Zeus with our Construct, and in the battle phase, they will call by the grave back, or call the Haunted back the Zeus, which we cannot run over. This is looking pretty unfortunate. We'll set the Schism, however. Then when they crash over our window, we'll add back this Incarnation. That way we can revive a Shaddoll Fusion from the graveyard next turn. We'll punishment away this Deneb here, and then use the punishment effect and also the Schism This will add back our Shaddoll Fusion, giving us a negate for a special summon. We need a Shaddoll card in hand that we were able to get off sending our Shekinaga with punishment, so when they finally go into the trigger, we can use the Grista effect for the first time in the series to negate a summon by sending Shaddoll Fusion away. We top deck a pretty good card here. We'll use Construct to run over them, and they will just surrender there. So moving on to match 2 of the episode, it looks like we're up against Predaplant. First time of the series, and first time of my life ever seeing this deck in action. Let's see what it can do. We're just going to Super Poly away their first monster after they activate the special summoning effect, meaning they're locked out of summoning, making this Super Poly in their hand completely dead. In the end phase, we're going to use this Trap Trick to set a Sinister Shadow Games, and then chain it to flip this beast and send the dragon. Using the dragon, we're going to pop this back row. Luckily for us, it was a Super Poly, which they could have used. We'll discard this layer. We don't really need it. It's just kind of bricking our hand. We'll start off with a Foolish Burial, sending this Windy, setting a Hedgehog. They'll then switch into attack position, run into this Predaplant monster, which destroys us on battle, but we are using that to draw a card. Gets us into a second layer. That's not amazing or anything, so we'll just set this Trap Trick and pass it back to them. We now have a punishment and a Trap Trick set. This is looking pretty good. So on their polymerization activation, they'll go into the Chimera, which we can actually use the punishment on, chaining the Trap Trick to give us an extra trap card activation, sending this App Cologne. We will use it to add the Schism and discard this extra layer. We finally got that Schism popping off, boys. They're going to add the Instant Fusion with a Chimera in the standby phase, which is its graveyard effect. Using this Hedgehog, we will add the Incarnation to our hand, crash in for 3k points of damage. Setting this Super Poly and Schism, we now have access to quite a few fusion monsters, in case they do end up negating our board. When we finally activate the Schism, we'll summon a second Winda, breaking their field, and then they will Dark Ruler no more. When they go to special summon, we will chain the Necrofusion, bringing out our third Winda, and they will surrender. Man, 3 Windas in 2 games in 1 episode. This is looking good. Game 2, we're feeling okay. We got a bunch of cards set, and let's go to Game 3. So, Game 3, up against Predaplant, we will start off with a Foolish Burial, sending the Squamata, using the Squamata to send the Windy, and Windy to set the Beast. Have you seen this before? We're going to use Lilith, Lady of Lament, tribute herself, and set a Necrofusion onto our side of the field. We know they have blowouts, which when they do activate it, we can chain both of these cards to summon a Winda and a Lost Wind. That way we can actually get one of these cards back. If they do special summon, they'll just pass on that. So on our turn, we'll just flip this beast to draw 2, discard 1, discard this El Shaddoll Fusion, go to the battle phase, crash it for 22, 22, 900, and in the battle phase, activate this Super Poly to go into a construct, which is well over lethal for us. We're just BMing here with Shaddoll monsters. You know how it is, boys. And on to match 3, up against Infernoble, and of course, they are starting with the Dolphin combo off Neospatian Connector. However, they don't discard, knowing that the monster is just going to plus our hand. They're going to go into the very sort of standard lineup for Infernoble now, sending the Plague Spreader, which is very, very interesting to me, using this Olive Air to continue to extend to finally get into a Hauki Fibrex. Using that, they're going to get a Despot 001 into an Auroradon. Wow, this looks so familiar to me. How about you? Summoning their 3 tokens, they'll then trigger the Despot 001, going into a Power Tool Dragon, using that effect to grab a DDR from deck. Using the Auroradon, they'll then tribute the token and the Power Tool to summon the Coldwing from deck. Using that, there are 2 tokens, triggering the Despot 001 in grave. Using those, they'll make an Arclight. They now have a negate on their side of the field. They'll bring back this Plague Spreader zombie into a Roland, activating its effect, and then going for a Dweller. Since they've seen our hand, they know this will absolutely cripple us. This is not looking too good for us. Using both the Ogier and the Oliver and the Graveyard, they'll attach it to their Gearfried. We'll draw for turn. It's a Shaddoll Trap. We'll Super Poly away their board for a Grista, crash over this Arclight, but this is not looking good. They have much more presence than we do. We'll use this Shadow Games and be met with the Abyss Dweller activation for our efforts. And when they decide to pop the Grista, we will not get its effect to add back this Incarnation, so they'll continue to extend, and it looks like this is probably going to be the end of it. They just will not stop BMing us. They'll finally discard a card from our hand, getting 500 points of damage on us, and finally continue to crash into us for game. On to Game 2. Game 2 against Infernoble. We are going to start off with a Layer of Darkness, normal summoning our Lilith, activating its effect to set a Necrofusion from deck. We now have a Sinister Shadow Games Necrofusion. This is the classic setup our deck has come to appreciate and love. Using the Squamata and Windy effect, we will set the Beast. Have you seen this before? Now, on their turn, they'll special summon this red layer. We'll chain the Necrofusion to get a Winda out onto our field. They'll use this Armageddon Knight to dump a Plague and link into an Isolde. This will end the special summoning for their turn, so they will just pass it back to us. Now, on our turn, we have a Super Poly in hand. We top deck a Lilith. This is looking pretty good. I believe this is the OTK combo that we have access to because of our Super Poly. We'll go into the battle phase, go in for 2200, 1000, 2200, activating this Super Poly, going into a Starving Vetting Fusion Dragon, and getting in for game. Game 3, match 3 up against Infernoble. They start off with just the worst hand. However, it is still full combo. You know how it is. No, I really don't. Thanks for asking. They'll go into the Despot 001 classic combo, Power Tool Dragon, putting in that work. They'll add the Durandal from deck here. They have 2 DDR in hand, which is a pretty great amount of extension for them. Using this Astolfo, they'll banish, and then finally using that DDR to summon that back. They'll go into an Abyss Dweller, knowing this will cripple our turn. However, they don't have anything too threatening on their board, so we'll just normal summon a Lilith, crash over this token to get rid of some monsters, use its effect to set a card to our field, setting 5 and passing. Now this is more like it. When they activate the Abyss Dweller, we are able to negate it with the Lost Wind off of our Sinister Shadow Games activation, sending the Squamata, finally the Windy, and what do you know, we're actually going to set an Aerial this time. We'll use the Trap Trick and the Necrofusion in tandem to both summon a Winda and set a punishment. Then we'll just chain the punishment right away. This is all still in drop step. Using the App Clone and discarding this Lost Wind, which we can actually get back using this Power Tool Dragon, they'll add a autonomous action unit from their deck to their hand, equip the Durandal to our Winda. That way when they crash over it, they are able to special summon a monster from their graveyard. However, they don't have anything to continue to extend in, so they'll pass it back to us. We are now punishment locked, so we'll just set the Schism, activate it in the standby phase of their turn. However, we do have a Super Poly, so we're feeling pretty okay. We'll just chain it right away to get a Winda, locking them from special summoning. They'll fire off this autonomous activation unit to get a Winda from our graveyard, and we will just Super Poly it away for a second Winda. How you like that? We have summoned 3 Windas in all 3 games of this episode. They'll pass it back to us. We have ended on just a single Winda on the field, so we'll just activate this Schism, summon an Apgalone, negate this Power Tool for the BM. We'll crash in for just a little bit of damage, getting rid of anything that they can actually use to synchro or extend into. We'll just set this card, pass it back to them, and then when their Astolfo comes back, locking them out of special summoning, they'll just pass it back to us now. On the final turn, we'll summon this Kios, using the Schism to go into a construct, and they can tell that that is the end of the game. Oof. Another good episode of Winda Pass. Schism is really putting in that work, boys. Punishment, also amazing, giving us access to those Shaddoll spells and traps, as well as recurring those spells and traps. It's really setting up the grind game our deck is looking for. However, I have some bad news. After re-watching this episode, I think we've hit the point of needing to cut Layer of Darkness. I know. At least for the foreseeable future. There will be a point, depending on the polls, of course, where it could come back into play. I mean, the board breaking, the preventing boards, tributing for cost, all of that stuff is really powerful, and it plays around so many negations, just as it is. Not to mention Eradicator alone, you know? I mean, come on. So going forward, we're heading towards a more consistent Shaddoll trap build with Lilith in it. That means going right back into Secret Slayers is what we're going to do. We're a little too far in to give up on the Eldlich engine. Just pulling 1 Golden Lord is going to make all of these amazing cards we've been pulling just live immediately. So, to your recommendation, we'll be popping open a box of Maximum Gold, because apparently it is the easiest to pull in that set. So, we're trying to keep this game record clean, so please join the Discord link in the description to join and give the stepdad some tips, help on the list, you know, chat with me. There's some cool stuff in there. I've got a ton of deck building ideas. I'd love to bounce them off you guys and potentially even duel against you for some of the episodes. So come join, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!